What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Wednesday Paper. It's your boy Mike Skinner, and today we're going to be going over my pull list for this week, which is a big one, I might say. Before we get into the pull list, though, I will ask if you guys could go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really does help out the channel, and for those of you who already have, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. I do see you guys, and I appreciate you guys very much. So without further ado, let's get into the coolest pull list on the internet, the Wednesday Paper. First up this week for Marvel, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 3. This is the second printing. I told myself I wasn't going to buy the second printings for all these issues, and I've been suckered into buying the first one, which, whatever. And then the second one, I think I skipped, but now I'm buying the third one, and they're doing a second printing for every issue. I don't feel like this series needs a second printing for every issue, and honestly, I'm really only buying this one because it's actually a different cover. A lot of the other ones are just recolors, and those are okay, but I do like that this one has a different cover. Definitely not something you absolutely need this week, but if you like it, check it out. Next up, we have another Spider-Man book, guys, and this one is a really big deal. This is Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. This is a 5-part limited series coming out, guys, and if you know anything about the last Edge of Spider-Verse, you know that some of those titles are going for ridiculous numbers, a lot of first appearances for random spider characters, and with Into the Spider-Verse coming out soon, this is going to have 240 random spider people in it. So people are already going crazy, speculating, picking up all these obscure spider characters. So if you're a believer like I am, definitely pick up a few of these. I wouldn't go too overboard just because this book is going to be incredibly printed into oblivion, essentially. So, don't go super crazy. Get a few copies, put them in your short box, and I think that in time, they will eventually go up in price. As far as which cover to get, I am getting cover A just because it's the classic cover and it has the first appearances on it. But you can go ahead and get any of the covers because honestly, they're all really cool. So just go ahead and get what you like. But I would stick with something that has these new spider characters on it just because it's a first appearance for them. Up next on my list is Iron Man number 22. And I'm actually not reading this, and it's really rare for me to buy a series and not go with the Alex Ross cover because he is doing the 8 covers on this series. I actually really like this Lozano variant. This is a beautiful cover. That awesome sleek black armor on Iron Man with the black background. The contrast is super nice. I love this cover, and honestly, I'm just picking this book up for the cover itself. This is a sweet Iron Man cover. I'm not really even an Iron Man fan, and this is a really nice cover. Up next this week, we have Moon Knight number 14, and honestly, guys, this has been a fun book to read. If you're not reading this Moon Knight series, it's not doing anything super crazy. It's not affecting the multiverse. It's not having any crazy implications for the universe, but it's just a fun Moon Knight book. It's got a cool villain. It's got some cool side characters. Moon Knight's been badass. They've been doing a great job of making him really cool, and they're finally starting to give us some more of the personalities because mostly so far we've had Mark Spector in control, but now they're leaning into a new arc where he's starting to explore the other personalities. So this book has been really good. So if you haven't been reading it, I do recommend it. I'm going to be grabbing the 8 cover this week. Up next, guys, we have another Spider-Man book, believe it or not, and it is Spider-Punk number 4. This book has been really awesome, and mostly I've loved the art in this book. It's drawn incredibly. The colors pop. Everything looks really cool, and I really like the way that they've been doing these other characters. This Daredevil character, the blind drummer, these are all band members, and I think it's a fun time. If you're trying to take this too seriously, you're not going to enjoy it. I think it's a really cool universe. With Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse around the corner, like I mentioned in Edge of the Spider-Verse, there's just so much potential for these spider characters. So I would just be picking these up, especially because there's already been some leaks talking about Spider-Punk in the movie. While we don't know how big of a deal he's going to be, I would imagine that it'll be a pretty big one. Definitely be checking this one out. I will be getting the cover A this week. Starting us off for DC, as it should, Batman 126, guys. I'm so excited to get my hands on it because oh my God, this book is insane. Guys, if you are not already on board, get on board. Jorge Jimenez is absolutely disgusting on these pages. He is so good. And Chip Zdarsky, I mean, come on, creating an incredible new character, a really threatening Terminator style. I mean, just beating the shit out of Batman. I don't want to spoil a lot because obviously you guys probably haven't read it yet, or maybe you have. But if you haven't, go read it. It is very good. There's like gorgeous panel. I'm gonna actually just put one of the most gorgeous panels, my favorite panel in the whole book. This is just wow, man. My boy Nightwing getting some justice from Jorge Jimenez. I love it. It's so good. I'm going to get the A cover this week, guys, and I'm also going to be getting this cover C. I think this is definitely the cover to have. if you're looking for this cover, it might be a little hard to get once people realize how awesome this series is. Up next, we have Batman White Knight Presents The Red Hood, and honestly, I've been buying all of this run. Anything with Sean Murphy is just, I'm buying it because this Batman universe has been outstanding. We're living in a time where we have a lot of cool Batman books happening at the same time, because I love what Chip Zdarsky's doing on the main run, but what Sean Murphy's creating is just outstanding. He has a whole universe of his own. This is like really, really good stuff, guys. This is going to be a spin-off from the regular White Knight series. They're going to be focusing on the Red Hood character, which I'm super excited to get into, and I think this book is going to be very good. I am getting the cover A and the cover B this week. Up next, we have Batman and Superman World's Finest #4, second printing, and honestly, I'm probably going to just have to give Dan Mora his own section on my show because I love his covers. You're going to see his name pop up more than once on my list today. The first printing was pretty similar, except it was white and black in the background. This one has the full color. I do prefer this full color version, and I will be grabbing a couple of copies of these because this issue was a ton of fun, having this Super Saiyan style Batman, Superman, Green Lantern fusion character. And if you want to get really crazy, there is a 1 in 25 of this same cover that is foil, and I know that that's going to be a pricey book because it is going to be gorgeous. Up next, we do have Dark Crisis #3, and it's a Dan Mora cover, guys. Guys, another awesome design variant by Dan Mora. This guy does not miss, and it's a brand new character, guys. We have the Red Canary. I haven't read the book yet, so I don't know if this character is even in the book or not, or if she makes any kind of appearance, but it is a first cover appearance for her, and this design variant is beautiful. So Dan Mora, whatever you're doing, man, just keep doing that. Following that up, we have Poison Ivy #3, and this series has been really cool. Poison Ivy's just on a cross-country tour to just murder everybody. She's just been super vicious in this title, and it's been a fun read, but nothing that blows my socks off. However, this Art Germ cover does blow my socks off, and I will be picking this cover up because I love Art Germ. I get most of his covers just because I love his style, and I think he's one of my favorite cover artists at the moment. First up for indie books this week, we have The Closet #3 from my boy James Tynion IV, and you know, it's hard to rag on anything James Tynion does because he's a genius in my opinion, but what's really going on here? This is a 3-issue series, so the story wraps up in this issue, and honestly, nothing's really happened so far. We've just been following this really unlikable father who's on a road trip with his son, and the son is just having the worst time of his life. There is this monster that lives in a closet that's been following him on all their stops, and all he does all night is harass this kid and scare the crap out of him. That's all that's really happened, so I'm really curious to see how they wrap this up. Is Tynion going to put a nice little bow on it and give us a nice little package where it was like, oh, okay, that was nice. I hope so, because so far I really don't see how we can wrap this up in one issue, but I hope I'm surprised. Next up on our list, we have The Dead Lucky #1, and this is actually our next entry in the Radiant verse. If you've been reading the Radiant Black books or the Rogue Sun books, which actually Rogue Sun, guys, last week, phenomenal. If you didn't read it, very, very good. But anyways, we're talking about The Dead Lucky, and this is our latest entry into the Radiant verse. The art style in this book looks really, really nice, and I'm interested to see how they differentiate this from the other books because, you know, we have Radiant Black, which is like, they're like the Power Ranger style team. Then we have Rogue Sun, and he's like a darker character. And now we have Dead Lucky, so how is she going to be her own kind of identity? And I'm really excited to see how they do that. I'll be picking up cover A and cover B this week, just because I really like both, but you can get whichever one you prefer. Up next, we have yet another second printing, and that is 8 Billion Genies #1. And this book took off out of nowhere, guys. I was super excited when this book first came out. I sent a bunch of text messages to some friends saying, this seems like a really interesting book. Some of them laughed about it and were like, yeah, I guess. And some of them saw that cat variant and were like, not happening, Skinner. You can read that one. Good luck. And now everybody is scrambling to find a copy of this book. It got picked up by Amazon, and they have a lot of plans for it. They say they have a feature in mind as well as a show in the future. Issues 1, 2, and 3 have already become impossible to find, so I went ahead and picked up a handful of this second printing because I think those that missed it are definitely going to be searching for it, and I might be able to make up a little money to help me out with my pull list this week. Next up is one that I'm actually most excited about this week, and shout out to my boy Bruce over at Bruce and Stephanie Comics on YouTube. I will leave his link down below. He's a really cool guy. I know he also had this book on his list this week, and I think it's an awesome one. This is Golden Rage, and essentially the pitch is, what if we had Hunger Games with grandmas? I think this has super potential to be picked up by a show one day. It's so ridiculous that it has to be awesome. So I'm really, really looking forward to this issue, and I'm praying that it's as good as I hope it is. Next up, we have Little Monsters #6, and this series has been a lot of fun, but very slow moving. I definitely agree with the sentiment that a lot of people have that this book would be better read as a trade. However, I have been enjoying it, and I think that it's a great series. It's just not a lot happens in each issue, but now it is starting to finally get the ball rolling, and I am very excited to see where it goes. It is a little more violent than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be a little softer. And then we had a scene that was like straight up Walking Dead. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this next issue brings. And I think this is something that everybody should be reading right now. Next up, we have one from my boy Scotty Young, and that is Twig number 4. This is another one of those series, like I mentioned, that it's doing really great, but it's a limited series. And I'm interested to see how you're going to bundle this up. How are we going to conclude this where I feel like I got satisfaction? It didn't just feel like it abruptly ended. Right now, it's building up to something, and I just don't know if we're going to get to the peak before we come down. I'll be picking up the cover A this week. So you may not believe me, guys, but we have another second printing on our list this week. This is Grimm number 2, second printing. And this series is another one that's been on fire, guys. Indie books right now are hot. I've been loving these series. And this series in particular is just so good. A lot of people sleep on these second printings, and then later on, those are the ones that have the shorter print run. So I definitely think you should be picking this one up because Grimm right now is being compared to Something Is Killing the Children. And if it does become something like that, this is going to be a book you're going to want to have. Up next, we have Mighty Morphin number 22. And honestly, I'm just getting the Riccardi cover because I love Power Rangers. And I also love Riccardi. So he did this awesome cover for the White Ranger. I don't know what's going on in Power Rangers right now. I am not caught up. There's so many Power Rangers books that I need to read. But this cover was really cool, so I did put it on my pull list this week. And if you agree with me, you should toss it on yours. My boy Dan Mora is back with Once and Future number 28. This series is another one that's been great so far. His art honestly has kept me stuck on this book. And I'm going to be real for a second. I did almost give up on this book at one point, like halfway through. I just wasn't really feeling it. I was like, man, this book is good, but I don't know. It's missing something. But what kept me going was Dan Mora's art. He pulled me through, and now I am enjoying it a lot more, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. But Dan Mora, you are a beast, my friend. So this is another reason to pick up this book. This is going to be a connecting cover, so I'm excited to see what they do with the rest of the cover. This is another series that should be ending soon, so I definitely think if you haven't already read it, definitely start picking up these issues because it's going to be a good one to have. And I'll be picking up the cover A this week because these connecting covers are going to be sweet. And that wraps up this week's episode of the Wednesday Paper. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another awesome week of comics. I hope you guys have a great time out there getting your books this week, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy reading. Peace.